Hello, good afternoon. My name is Kevin Devecioğlu. I'm the Managing Director of BIM3 International. Thank you for joining today's executive webinar session. Today, we'll be talking about how to manage incidents digitally with the help of QDMS and Acumatica. Today, I have my colleagues, and I'll be introducing them to you. Before I do that, let me start sharing my screen so that we can see our presentation at the same time. Okay, perfect. I have with me today Acu-Quality from MRAS Consulting. He is ISO 9001 certified auditor, and he is with us today, and he'll be talking about fundamentals of incident management. Today, also with me, I have Sam Watt. He is our pre-sales software engineer from our engineering team, and he'll be demonstrating QDMS, our quality, risk, audit, and compliance management software, interacting with Acumatica ERP system. And we have Furkan Bas as our QDMS product manager. So all together, as a panel, we'll be talking about how to manage incidents in a digital environment, paperless and remotely. That is what we'll be talking about. Okay, I think we can get started and talk about details. So typically what we do is we start with introducing our company and then introducing our products, and then we talk about demonstration and talking about our products as to how you can use them and how you can enjoy the benefits of our software products as BIM3 International. So today we'll make a change. Today we'll start with a demonstration, and then after demonstration we'll talk about fundamentals of incident management with Alex, and then we'll talk about BIM3 International, about who we are, what we do, as well as details of QDMS, our quality, risk, audit, and compliance management software. Before I hand it over to my colleague Sam, I'd like to share some fundamental information with you as to what we have in QDMS. QDMS is our quality, risk, audit, and compliance management software. It is also ready to help you manage your performance management activities remotely. We've been developing QDMS since 1998. It is multi-language, multi-location, and multi-currency. QDMS has more than 1,000 corporate customers and more than 1 million professional users. So keep it in mind, it is actually a very mature system. It's reliable, it's scalable, and no wonder we have more than 1 million professional users because the system is so reliable and dependable. In addition, we have reputable references of QDMS, as I listed on the screen on the right-hand side. As you see, QDMS is trusted by reputable brands. What it means is these companies trust QDMS, its capabilities, its scalability, its dependability, and they put all their quality management, compliance, risk management, related documents, activities, and processes on QDMS. So that is something very important for us that we take dearly. And it also shows you that how QDMS has been successful and come a long way. Today, during this show and tell, meaning demonstration session, my colleague Sam will be talking about incident management, risk management. He'll be showing you reports of QDMS, and he'll also show you dashboard capabilities of QDMS as to KPIs for managers to follow up and monitor on daily basis, weekly basis, and even monthly basis. So that is available for you. Before further ado, I'd like to invite Sam to our virtual screen, and then we can perform the demonstration to show you QDMS as well as Acumatica. Sam, are you ready to share your screen?
Yes, I am.
Okay, perfect. Please continue.
And can you see my screen, which is Acumatica homepage?
That's great.
Okay. So thank you for joining today's webinar. This is Sam. I am the pre-sales software engineer of BIM3 International. And this is the home screen of Acumatica. So today I will demonstrate QDMS, our quality, risk, audit, and compliance management system. And QDMS is integrated with Acumatica so that we can work or run QDMS in the same page of Acumatica. Also, we have a fundamental integration. For example, the employee information, customer information, department, and product information that our QDMS is integrated with Acumatica. And now you can see is the home screen of QDMS. And after you log in, you can see all the pending tasks and also requests for approval right on your home screen. And you can get a quick connection and start proceeding with these requests. For example, there is a document, it is waiting for your approval and to be published in the system so that you can have go to this widget and open this up and get a quick connection to process this request. So QDMS is a permission-based system, which means not everyone can see everything. For example, in this main menu, you will see the modules that you are supposed to see based upon the permission is granted to your account based on your role, position, profession, department, or group. And QDMS has a modular structure, which Kevin will mention and share more information in his presentation. But right here, just want to mention is QDMS has over 30 modules that is available, and you can pick and choose the module that you want to have and deploy that in on your server. And since now I'm logging in as the admin, so that I have the full control of the system and I can see all the modules in my main menu. First of all, we come to this incident management module, which helps you to manage your incident in your company, for example, or in your plant or factory digitally. So you can record all your incident that happened in your company by using QDMS. And you can see the page like this in order to enter the information of the incident. Just a side note here is we can always update the design of this page or of this module. So for example, you are having currently like filling a form as on paper or through Excel file, and you have your certain pattern in order to record all the incident. And then we can duplicate what you are having or what you are using in QDMS. And this is some example fields that are put together on this page. For example, you can record the date, which is very important, like when the accident occurred in your company, so that you can pick and choose the date in the calendar view. And also you can enter the phone number, for example. And then you can pick and choose the name who is involved in this incident. You will see it's an employee list, which shows you all the information of your employees and all that information, they are coming from Acumatica. As I mentioned, we have an integration with between QDMS and Acumatica. Okay, and there we go. So now I can pick and choose the one that is involved in this incident. For example, I'm going to pick myself. This is my own account, BIMSA Int admin. And then we can add an ID number, for example, and again, it can be updated, which means if the fields that you want to have, then or you don't want to have, we can always update on this page. And then you can select a gender, so you can have a drop-down list in your incident management module, and also the date of incident. Let's see. And the hours that have the time, like 10 in the morning. And then you can pick and choose the position, for example, and the date of birth of that person, and the status, like if he or she is single or married. So those can be managed in this module. And very important is if there's any action, for example, like corrective action or document that we that we publish in order to deal with this accident, we can always record in this module as well. So you can pick and choose the reference type, like if it is a document or corrective action or any other kind of precaution action. So you can record under this page. And we have a built-in integration with the other modules of QDMS, like a document management module and also corrective action module. So you can pick and choose the one or the document right here, so that you can pick and choose all these are all the documents that I upload in the control document management module. And right here we can pick and also choose the measure date and put all the supportive information to this precaution record and save this. If there's under this approvers, so you can see the status of this reporting, like for this incident that you're reporting. After that, we can send this to the approval, and it will be sent to the workflow of QDMS. And to this workflow, we can always update it based upon the actual operations of your company. So it doesn't have to be like what you are watching or what we have in this demonstration. But anyway, coming back here, you can see we have a notification and a message showing you the form has been submitted to this person, BIMSA Int, which is myself, for approval. So how can I find this approval request as I am the approver? So that we can come back to my homepage. As I mentioned, I can find all the pending tasks and also the request for approval on the homepage. So I can come here and scroll down and find the one that is waiting for my approval, which is an incident record. And after that, we can get a quick connection and start managing this approval. So as I'm now is the approver, so the page is updated accordingly. So I have to enter the description of the incident, which means different approver can have different view. So for example, like to the requester, he or she is only required to enter the basic information of the incident. And after it has been sent to the approver, like the manager has to enter more detail to this record. And you can also pick and choose the witness if there's any, and also the department, the issue of the incident, and also the reason of it. And after that, we can save this or send this to the next level in the approval flow. So now it's have been sent to another users in order to get the final approval. So which will be again myself, so that I can scroll down and then find out all the approval requests, which is this one. And again, as I'm the last approver, so I can reveal all the information that we enter and also the precaution action that we set up. If all of them they are okay, then we can save this. And under the approvals tab, so that you can find out when we have it approved. So this is the other shell to help you to keep tracking the status of all the records in this incident management module. And at last, we can send this and it will be saved in the in an archive of QDMS. And in every module, you can see the reporting tool that allows you to create the ready-made report, like the general incident list. So you will see all the record of the incident. And before you create your report, you can put some condition before you generate your report, And now you can have a table and show you all the incidents that we record in the system. In addition, you can see you can use the graphical reporting tool, which allows you to create a graphical report. So on the axis, so that you can see, for example, we want to see which department occurred the most incident in the system. And then we can draw a graph, and all your real-time data will be shown in a pie chart and also in a table. So in order to avoid any incident happened in our company, so that you can use this risk assessment module in order to assess your risk. So right here, you can create your risk assessment planning, and the plan is like the goal that you want to achieve. So let's, for example, this is the one for health and safety. So after creating your assessment planning, then you can add your risk assessment item. The items, they're the objective that help you to achieve your goal. And what is the goal is our planning that we set up, which is health and safety. So that you can see right here is I create different items for different departments. They're all related to the health and safety. So for assessing different departments, then we can achieve a goal, which is risk and health and safety in terms of the goal that you want to have, that we want to achieve. And on your left, you can see different color for different records. So when they're in green color, which means the impact of this risk is not critical to our company, and it is not likely to happen in our company as well. So when it is in yellow color, which means we have to pay attention on that, the impact will be critical, or somehow it will bring us a certain impact, and it is likely to happen in our company. And when they are in red color, which means this risk is critical as its impact, and also is highly likely to happen in our company. And also you can see the trend here. Since risk assessment is not a one-time job, you have to work on it or time to time in order to see and evaluate how likely it will happen in our company, so that you will see the trend here, like if it is going up, or the impact and also the likelihood if they're to be more critical to us, and if it is more likely to happen in our company, or if the trend is going down slope. So right here, you can see how you can manage your risk assessment item. As you can see, you can find the version number, which is will be integrated every time when we edit or update this risk assessment item. And also we can pick and choose the business area, the source of risk, and the impact or the result of this risk. And right here, you can pick and choose the impact that will be result to our company. Like we have a scale, and this scale, it can be updated based upon your preference. So like right here, you can see we have a scale of 5, and you can see if it is minor or significant and so on. And also you can pick and choose the likelihood, how likely it will happen in your company. And important is you will see this risk score and also the index. It is calculated automatically by the system. So after you pick and choose the likelihood and the impact, then the system will show you the risk score based upon the option or the items that you choose on the previous 2 items. And after that, we can also define the precaution action that we have here. For example, like if we need a corrective action in order to cope with this risk, then we can choose CAPA, which is now we call it a corrective action as per the latest update of ISO. But anyway, CAPA stands for Corrective and Preventive Action, and I believe our audience, you are familiar with it. And coming back on this page is you can select an existing record from Corrective Action module, as known as CAPA module, in order to deal with this risk. Or you can create a new record and you will be led to the corrective action page, and then you can create a new corrective action accordingly. After that, we can save it and all your record will be added or updated in the system. So as you can see now, we just update the impact and likelihood, and now the trend is going down because if you remember, in the very beginning, it is in red color, which means the impact is critical to the company, and also it's highly likely to happen in our company. So now you can see the trend. As for this risk item, so in every module of QDMS, as I mentioned, you can find the reporting tool that allows you to create the ready-made report, for example, general risk list, and you can put your condition right here and show all the records or the records that you want to have on this in this list. So you can see the trend and also all these records and what is the goal for this item, like health and safety risk assessment planning for this record. And you can have your graphical reporting too, which allows you to see, for example, we want to check the business area, like for which business process or step we have the most risk assessment item. And those will be shown in a bar chart and in a table. And of course, you can change the graphic, the graph, like from pie chart to bar chart as well. And you're more than welcome to export your report into Excel, PDF, image, or for sharing with any responsible parties. And in QDMS, you can also see the dashboard in order to keep tracking the performance and also KPI of your company. So you can have your dashboard module, for example, in incident management module, we can have a dashboard, and the dashboard which visualize all your real-time data that we have in the system. So for example, in this module, you can find all the incidents that we record, and we can put all the data in this dashboard, which is a visualization tool. And for example, like for the missing day, and in different locations, you can see all your all the number in a bar chart. So it's helped you to get an overview of the performance and monitor all the activities just by reading this dashboard. And in our dashboard, you can have different type of widget, like a bar chart or a table or in a pie chart and so on. So that also you can export this dashboard into Excel or PDF in order to share with any responsible parties or getting prepared for your presentation. So it's come to the end of my demonstration. Thank you very much.
Sam, thank you very much for the demonstration. Much appreciated. Thank you. So as you see during the Sam's demonstration, first of all, QDMS is designed to run standalone. That's a quality, risk, audit, and compliance management software. So you can manage your quality management systems as well as your instance, basically, in a digital environment. So this is very important to know, especially nowadays in the face of COVID-19. We know that it is very important for companies to access data and manage activities remotely, including incident management. So QDMS is ready to help you in that sense. Furthermore, you can also manage it in a way that you can share with your team members, your colleagues, when you have your activities remotely. Another thing which is very, very important is that you can use QDMS with Acumatica in the same screen. Acumatica may be an ERP system. However, the important thing is in the same screen, as you see, you can use Acumatica as well as QDMS together in one screen. So you don't have to jump from one screen to another. You can use QDMS and QDMS's incident management module together. So it makes it much easier for users, for yourself to basically access data, manage the activities, reports, and dashboards. Dashboard is important, just like my colleague Sam demonstrated. The reason being, from the managerial point of view, you like to actually have the access to progress, right? So you like to see how things are going, what type of incidents have been happening, and then what type of precautions you are taking. You are seeing the link between incident management and also a corrective action part, so that if there is something wrong, you can actually take action to make it correct, and you'll never have that problem again. That is actually the idea of continuous improvement. And furthermore, you can also manage your risk. The risk management is very important. And in the face of COVID-19 nowadays, we understand it more than before. The reason being, before we take any action for any task, any activity at our company, we need to know what type of risk we have, how likely we'll face it. So we can actually think about it, we can work on it, we can study with your team members, with our colleagues, and then we can categorize risks that we may possibly face as a company. And in case if we face, then what we should be doing. Again, Sam showed the link between risk management as well as corrective action management. So you can, if necessary, before anything happens, while you are studying the risk, you can actually take corrective action to make sure you can actually, you'll have a smoother ride, right, during your operation. You'll reduce the risk from happening. The likelihood will be lower. That is basically the idea, which is critical. So I'd like to thank my colleague Sam for his demonstration. Also the colleague Show and Tell. Much appreciated. It was pretty interactive. Now what we like to do is that I'd like to invite my colleague, Alex Kvartarov. In the meantime, I'll be sharing my screen. So we'll be talking about fundamentals of incident management from the scope of ISO 9001. As I mentioned earlier, Alex is a certified ISO auditor. So he has years of experience in quality management, incident management, risk management, and performance management in the scope of ISO quality management standards. So I'd like to invite Alex to the conversation, and let's learn from him about fundamentals of incident management. Alex, are you ready? Alex?
Yes, I think I'm.
Okay, I can hear you. Perfect.
Okay, great. All right. Well,
Thank you.
again, thank you very much, Kevin, for inviting me to make this short presentation. Yes, I think, there was a considerable discussion by both Kevin and Sam about, incidents, how to deal with incidents. And obviously incidents are tied to risks. So to minimize the number of incidents, you really have to evaluate risks ahead of time and see where can you anticipate getting incidents and trying to minimize the potential of getting incidents early. So ISO basically is a process, is a system that allows you, that integrates all of these principles, dealing with risks, dealing with incidents, corrective action, and so on. So that's why I think my very brief introduction to ISO is very important on this topic. Anyway, to introduce ISO, ISO is a quality management system, and it has 7 principles that are really the key. to ISO implementation. And of course, the first one, the most important one, is customer focus, because you want to really make your customer happy. And how do you make the customer happy? Well, it's by delivering a quality product on time, within schedule. Now, in order to do that, leadership, management of the organization has to be very much involved in making sure that all of the ISO principles are being implemented. And that really goes from the top level of management all the way down to the lower levels of your employees, but they have to be involved, and that's what it means, engagement of the people. They have to understand what the purpose of ISO is and what is their contribution, because sometimes people that are working on a lower level task, they may be the most familiar with how you can improve that overall work that they're doing, and they should be able to communicate up the chain and make recommendations how to make improvement. ISO is really based on processes, and processes, it's really a function of the organization, what they manufacture. They could be manufacturing a product or a service, provide a service, but it is very important to split up the activity of the organization into processes, and those processes have to be linked to make the operation most efficient. Another very key aspect of ISO is continuous improvement, and we'll be talking a little bit more about that later. But you're never perfect. There's always room for improvement, and you have to really evaluate the organization continuously to see what the areas of improvement are. And this leads to the next principle, evidence-based decision making. All right. Now, how do you decide where to improve things? Well, it really has to be based on evidence, on data that was collected, rather than taking just guesses as to what to do to improve. You really, your decision on what to do has to be based on data, but now you have to know exactly what data to collect and how to deal with it. And the last principle is relationship management. So what it really means is that, management must not only be involved with the internal operation of the organization, but it has to consider the environment, external environment, all the forces that affect the organization externally, as well as all of the internal policies and issues. So let's go on to the next slide. So the next one is a pictorial description of the quality of a typical quality management system. It's called the Plan, Do, Check, Act cycle. It was developed by Deming, who was a quality guru. And it really is a very simple representation of how ISO in effect operates. So on the right side of the screen, you see the ISO clauses, all right? And they really go from 4 to 10. The first 3 clauses are just definitions, introductions, definitions, but the requirements of ISO really start with clause 4. They go from clause 4 through 10. Okay. Now, the clause numbers, if you look now in the diagram, are shown in the parentheses. So each area, each section has a parentheses, a number, and that number relates to the ISO clause. So if you look at the diagram, if you start from the left side, you see all the inputs that are going into the quality management system, okay? And they consist of, obviously, the context of the organization, what the organization consists of. Obviously, customer requirements is a very important part of the inputs because the customer has to specify exactly what product or service they're looking for. And also, you have to consider the needs and expectations of the interested parties. That means, well, interested parties are obviously the customer, the investors, regulatory organizations, and so on. So there are a number of interested parties which indirectly affect the organization. So all of that feed into the planning stage. So now you do your planning, and even though it's not really shown on the diagram, but risk assessment is a very important part of planning. And we had a lot of discussion about risks. So risks are identified and addressed in the planning stage. And then once you have a plan, then you look at the actual operation, which is clause 8, but also you need the resources to implement the operation. So the operation could be either manufacturing of a product or a service, but the resources consist of the whole structure, the infrastructure of the organization, and also your staff, your employees. They're a very important part of this aspect. So this is where your product or service is being developed. And then comes section 9, which is performance evaluation. So this is where now you evaluate either your product or service and really how good is it? What are the issues? What are the problems? What are the corrective actions and so on. So this is really evaluated both internally, and at the same time, you also look at your customer feedback. So hopefully most of your feedback from your customer is positive, but doesn't always happen. There's always some negative inputs, but those have to be obviously considered. And this is where now, and I mentioned in my previous slide about risk, about evidence-based thinking. So this is where your evidence comes in, is in really this clause 9, performance evaluation, which then drives your improvements. So now you know what your issues are, where your corrective action is, where your incidents have occurred, and now you work on the improvement process. And then of course you go back and you replan, and then you just stay in this loop forever because you want to have continuous improvement. That's really part of the ISO principle. All right, next slide, please. So in today's presentation, we're really focusing on two aspects. Really is how to deal with incidents and how to correct the incidents so you would really minimize them. And that's why I decided to address the focus on the two areas, the performance evaluation, which is clause 9, and the next slide will cover clause 10, which is the improvements. Okay, so really, what does it mean, performance evaluation? How do you determine what to collect, what data, what do you do with it, and so on? So really here is you have to define or you have to perform a monitoring, measuring, and analysis, and you have to evaluate all of the data, whether it's a product failure, there's an incident. This applies to, by the way, as well as for safety issues or any incidents that have occurred, as well as corrective actions. So first of all, you have to decide, how do you measure, how, when, and there's a whole, there are techniques to determine that, whether you do a sampling or you do a analysis on every particular unit, but that is open to the organization's approach of how to measure your performance. And then, of course, you have to analyze the results to evaluate the conformity, look at the customer satisfaction, and overall you have to look at the performance of the QMS and how effective is your quality management system. And here are also come in the issues of risks. You have to address the risk because you have established your risks in your planning phase. And now you have to see, well, have we done the right assessment of the risks? Are they valid? And what are the results of our risk assessment? Also, a very important part of doing your evaluation is looking at your external providers, because that's a very important part of the operation. And if your suppliers are not performing, then obviously action has to be taken. Another important aspect in the evaluation is internal audits. If you're ISO certified, you have to do at least a yearly internal audit. And internal audits are really, it's not a witch hunt, but it's really to see where improvements have to be made and where you're not compliant to your ISO requirements. So this is really the purpose of an internal audit, is to find issues with your QMS and bring them up to management. And obviously, as we saw in the diagram, management is right in the middle, okay? And management has to be involved in the whole process, and they have to evaluate. They must have a review of the QMS at least once a year. I think that's probably not often enough. Maybe quarterly is more appropriate, but that's again a decision of the organization. And again, management has to look based on the data that was collected in the analysis and evaluation of ways to, how can you change your or improve your QMS and your quality policy, and what are your objectives. So that's an important role of management in the ISO process. Okay, and the final slide, this is talking about now clause 10, which are the improvements. And again, those are based on the management review. And now, so what can you improve? And well, the kind of general improvements are, well, you have, obviously corrective actions. And again, whether it's the result of some incidents. So if you had a number of incidents, then you have to look at the source of the incidents, what happened, and you got to look at ways to improve it. It could be through training, reorganization, imposing new policies, but that's where management comes in and makes decisions which are based on evidence. Now there's also nonconformities that were addressed by both Sam and Kevin. And if you have nonconformances, then obviously you have to take some action to prevent their reoccurrence. Again, this is based on the data that was collected, and you have to get to the bottom of it as to determine why you had a nonconformance and come up with a process to eliminate them, which may require you to go through the full circle again, as I mentioned, go back to replan and then proceed. Also, the results of your internal audit are very important, because any non-conformances of your QMS, they have to be addressed. And obviously actions have to be taken. So as I mentioned, as one of the ISO principle is continuous improvement. And that's the one of the key aspects of the QMS. And so the QMS has to be continuously reviewed to make sure it meets the organization goals and it's effective. And also that the whole purpose is to improve the quality, the quality process of the organization, which obviously is to deliver a better, more reliable product or service. So that really completes my presentation, and now I'd like to turn back to Kevin. Thank you.
Kevin, I think you're muted.
All right, great. I think you can hear me now. Perfect. So I was saying I appreciate the fact that Alex shared his insights. And also it was important to learn about the fundamentals of ISO in a way that, how you can manage the incident management as well as risk management. Also from the point of non-conformity management, and also, of course, the fact that we can actually manage all these in a system, which is critical. Because if you notice, especially with the do as check, the cycle basically designed to run the quality management system towards continuous improvement, which is critical. And it is the exciting part. I mean, as long as we run it in a way that's actually instructive, we can always improve our business processes, which is critical. Now, what I like to do is I like to talk about Beam International a little bit. Normally, we do this in the beginning. Now we are changing the flow. We start with Sam, continue with Alex, and then I'll take it to this level as to talk about Beam International, and then we'll talk about QDMS, our quality, risk, audit, and compliance management software, and we'll address your questions. I know some of you actually watching us, listening to us via YouTube live, which we much appreciate it. So we'll always take your questions during the Q&A session, and we address them. So let's continue with our presentation as to Beam International, and we'll take it from there. All right, great. So as Beam International, we are based in New York. We are an enterprise software maker since 1998. In a sense, we help companies adopt digital transformation and help them simplify their business process. So that is what we believe, and that's how we help companies, basically. Also, in a way that, especially in this digital age, that's critical for many companies. Simplifying processes, digitizing business processes, and going paperless as much as possible. We are active in various business communities. We are part of American Society for Quality. Also, we are very close to various chambers and associations with regards to manufacturing, servers, banking, and finance-related industry. So we like to be as close as possible to business communities. So we learn from them, we can interact with them, and that is important for our continuous improvement in a way. So another thing I'd like to mention is that we have an internship program called University of Beam International. That's where we help university students learn about pre-sales engineering and software engineering in general. We are a group of companies, as you see on this slide. While we are based in New York, we are active in Europe as well as Middle East. So as a group, we are about 200 people. We are a growing organization. We are very active in various ERP ecosystems. So Acumatica is one of them, as we have been talking about from the beginning of today's webinar. In addition to Acumatica, we are also a partner of Microsoft, SAP, Myobi, Sage Intacct, and various other ERP systems. So that is actually important for us, as we are part of these ecosystems, and we are looking forward to further our relationships. In terms of quality management system, just like Sam and Alex mentioned earlier, we are also certified. We are ISO 9001 certified and ISO 271 certified. What it means is we have policies and procedures in place, or we have a quality management system in place to make sure we always deliver the highest quality of software projects wherever we deploy them. So that is critical for us, and we take it very seriously. Since 1998, we actually developed these 4 products only. We are very focused. That makes us a specialist. We have EBA as our workflow, document management, and records management platform. We have BEAM as our asset maintenance, facility management, and energy management software. QDMS, we'll talk more about QDMS, our quality, risk, audit, and compliance management software. And finally, we have Ensemble as our intelligent business process modeling and performance management software. Since 1998, we deployed many different projects. In this slide, you can also see more or less how many customers we have globally, corporate customers, by the end of last year. As you see, we also have millions of users. So we have thousands of corporate customers and millions of professional users that we are proud of, and we increase these numbers every month. We have a lot of reputable references, as you see on the screen. We work with 3M, Ford, Hyundai, Henkel, Unilever, United Nations, one of our customers. We work with Bridgestone, Burger King, and many other reputable companies, corporations, institutions, and organizations. Now, let's talk about QDMS a little bit more in detail before we jump to Q&A session. I know you have questions, so we'll address them. As for QDMS, that's the quality, risk, audit, performance, and compliance management software. We have been developing QDMS since 1998. We have more than 1,000 corporate customers and more than 1 million professional users. That's a solid system that's reliable and that is scalable. QDMS is also available in Acumatica's marketplace, as you see, so you can have more information in this page as well if you like when you visit their website. QDMS has the latest technology, and it is open to communicate with other systems with the technology that it has. What it means is any other system that you have at your company, QDMS can be integrated to pull and push data. The idea is to have integrated business management system for you, and you can avoid double entering data to different software products, right? So if you enter it into Acumatica, we can pull it from QDMS, or the other way around. If you enter data into QDMS, we can push it to Acumatica ERP system. QDMS is able to talk to your IoT systems, manufacturing execution systems, CRM systems, and other software products that you may have. So we can do the integration, and you can use all your software products in an integrated way together while they are actually communicated, which is critical for your business. With the help of QDMS, you can comply with many different quality management systems. You can comply with ISO 9001, ISO 14000, SQF, ERC, and many other quality management standards as well as regulations. That's a web-based system. What it means is you can access QDMS from anywhere. All you need is internet access and a web browser. It is just like connecting any other website. Also, once we actually train you, you can manage QDMS yourself. You don't need an outside consultant or another support. You get the training from us, and you manage your own quality management system on QDMS. QDMS is modular, so we are not trying to offer entire system, no matter what you comply. That's not the point. Our actually objective is to help you comply with many different quality management systems. At least you can run your own quality management system internally in a paperless and digital environment. That's our goal. So it depends on what you are complying with. I just made a list of some of the quality management standards on the screen, ISO 9001, SQF, BRC, and so on. Depends on your industry. You can pick and choose any module that you like. There is no minimum or maximum requirement, so you are free to choose any module you like. Let's just remember though, all these quality management systems, they have some commonality, some common points. For example, all of these quality management systems, even if you have your own homegrown quality management system that you are running internally, you're going to document your activities. So documentation is key. Also, you need to have control point. That's also another important point that you need to put into consideration. You need to keep getting feedback. You need to study and analyze feedback for continuous improvement. That's critical. You may be in need of studying customer complaints or maybe incidents, just like we talked about today. Sam and Alex talk about them in detail in terms of how to manage incidents and how to manage it and how to actually address it. once you get the lessons after your analysis, then you need to communicate these lessons with your team members. That's another important thing and common requirement for any quality management system. And finally, Alex mentioned it also in detail, for continuous improvement and to understand how we are doing, we need to have the performance management in place. So we need to assign, we need to define the tasks, we need to assign it, and also we need to monitor it, how we are doing as to progress. And then, just like Alex mentioned earlier, you need to have management review. And this management review may be quarterly, perhaps, or maybe annually, right? So all of these requirements, if you notice, are addressed by the modules that I listed on the screen. So you pick and choose what you like. Yes, no matter which module you like, you need to comply, that's for sure. However, how you like to enjoy the benefits of QDMS is eventually up to you, and we are here to help. You can pick and choose any module that you like, and then you can comply with quality management standards. Okay, great. So now we have the quality. We talked about quality management systems, QDMS, incident management, fundamentals of incident management, right? So let's take your questions and we can address them one by one. So one of the questions actually for you, Alex, if you can address, I think, let me see, make sure if you are unmuted. Okay. Okay, great. So as for performance management, is there any limit as for company size? Is it the same approach for any size of company, or for large companies or mid-sized companies or small companies? There are different approach for each performance management activity.
Generally, the approach is really similar to whether you're a very large company or a small company. Obviously, I had in one case where there was only a one-man machine shop that wanted to get ISO certified. So obviously, in his case, he is really the management. But even if it's a one-man company, he still has to follow all of the principles of ISO. And so here's obviously where the difference would be, whether you're a one-man company or a 10,000-man company. Obviously, the structure is different. However, all the principles apply to any company size. So that is correct. Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much, Alex. Another question is for you, Sam. As for QDMS, does it work on cloud or it has to be on-premise deployment?
So it can be both. So you can deploy QDMS on your on-premise server and also on your cloud server. Okay, great.
So just an add-on to what Sam mentioned. So you can deploy cloud or server, just like Sam mentioned. And once we deploy it, system is web-based, meaning no matter where we deploy, server or cloud, you can access the QDMS system remotely, basically, with a web browser. It's that simple. You have the access and you can take it from there. Thank you very much, Sam. I have another question. That question is about document management piece. So are we able to manage forms in the document management module that I just saw briefly in the demonstration? Sam, you want to address the form piece, or shall I address
it? Oh, yes, you can manage form by using control document management module of QDMS. So you can upload different file type, I would say, for example, your form and also your specifications, SOP or policies by using the control document management module, which I didn't cover today. But if you are interested and you want to know more in detail, please feel free to contact us and you can find our contact information on the screen.
Great, thank you, Sam. Since Sam mentioned, I need to also share it. So we keep our contact information on the screen. If you have any questions, if you'd like to continue this conversation, if you'd like to schedule a one-to-one meeting, please just send us an email and we'll be happy to talk in detail. I know there are many things to talk about in terms of quality management systems, which we enjoy talking about it, by the way. So you can just reach out to us and then we can address your questions. Another question is about mobile applications. Do you have a mobile device available for QDMS? Can I use it with my tablet? Sam, would you like to address it?
Yes, sure. That's a very nice question. So QDMS has its native mobile application. So it is available for Android and iOS device. You can download QDMS Mobile from Play Store or the App Store for iOS device, for example. And then you can manage or connect QDMS from your smartphone and also tablet. You can see the same data set that you can see or the same data set as the data that you see in the web browser because they're coming from and going to the same database. So by using the mobile application, you can connect to QDMS anytime and anywhere with the internet connection.
Okay, great. I think we addressed most of the questions. Alex, would you like to share anything else before we end our webinar session?
Well, no, again, I really appreciate participating in this because I think that what I like to add is that the reason I am a solutions partner for BIMSR International is because about 3 years ago now, I came across BIMSR and Kevin as its managing director, and I determined that the QDMS is an ideal tool to help you in dealing with ISO because it's a lot of work. There's a lot of data, a lot of documents that you have to manage, and certainly QDMS is a perfect tool to help you support all of that requirement, all that maintenance of all of that information. So that's why I really think QDMS is a really terrific tool for that.
Alex, thank you very much. Thank you for the insights and thank you for participating and for your support, as always. Much appreciated. So before we end our session, I'd like to invite you to our YouTube channel. We have a YouTube channel which is very, very active, and some of you are already watching us from our YouTube channel live. When you visit our YouTube channel, you can actually access the recordings of our previous webinar sessions. Also, you can have the access of our brief product webinars, as well as product introductions and product videos that we can have more information about. So we definitely welcome you. We encourage you to visit our YouTube channel and please subscribe so that you can be aware of what is coming, which videos are available, because every week we have something new and you'll be notified right away if you subscribe. So please subscribe. Also, some of you already registered via Eventbrite. We have an Eventbrite page for you to see our executive webinar lineup. You can visit our Eventbrite page and you can see what is coming next week, following week, and following month, basically, right? We set up all our webinar sessions, executive webinar sessions until November, and more to come, basically. So we definitely invite you to visit our Eventbrite page. Please take a look. Have a look, and any of them that you like as to executive webinar sessions, please register, and then we can always meet at these webinar sessions. I'd like to thank you for your time and thank you for your interest. And just as closing our webinars, it is very important for me to share some insights as well, right? So as you see, we have these webinar sessions on weekly basis, which is very important that we share. And we also actually share with us, with you, and as well as with your contacts, with your colleagues, and with your team members. So what we are trying to do is our goal is to basically help you manage your quality management systems digitally. Today we talk about incident management and how we can manage incidents, how we can manage risks, and we talk about this, and we actually demonstrated. My colleagues can demonstrate how you can actually use QDMS, quality, risk, audit, and compliance management software that we have. With the help of QDMS, you can actually manage your entire quality management system in a digital environment with no need of paper. And even if, because of COVID-19, if you are working remotely from home, from other locations other than office, perhaps that's possible, then you can use QDMS and you can access your data for quality management system that you have in place remotely. Not only you can access the data, you can also take actions, right? You can share with your team members, you can make changes, you can keep it updated, which is very critical nowadays. Also, if you remember, my colleague Alex mentioned before as well, audit management is critical. And we talk about audit management in previous weeks, but we'll talk more about it in coming weeks. So you'll also have a chance to learn about it even further on QDMS. So since QDMS is web-based and you can actually perform your audits remotely with the help of QDMS, then even because of COVID-19, even if you are working remotely, you can actually perform it. There may be an internal audit that you are actually auditing within the company. One department audits another department, perhaps it's a common practice. Or even if you are having the audit just for, say, ISO purposes, that's maybe a certification audit or maybe surveillance audit, as we learned from Alex as to how these audits actually being run by auditors, for example. So QDMS is for you to manage all your quality management systems. Let's just focus on incidents for a second, just as a summary. So incidents happen at any company. That's a fact. So with the help of QDMS, you can record it, you can analyze it, you can take lessons out of it, and you can take action. You may take action as to corrective action, that may be a non-conformity, or maybe a training, perhaps. You can take all these lessons, you can record it, you can report it, and you can communicate with your team members, which is very, very important. And once you communicate, once you let your team members understand how you guys are doing and how you can actually make it even better in a digital environment, then that is quality management system. And just like Alex mentioned earlier, that is actually how you are running your act, do, check cycle towards continuous improvement. That is critical and that is priceless. And that is our goal as Beam3 International, to help you reach that goal. Keep the continuous improvement in place, keep it running, and make sure you're always focused on this quality management system with the help of QDMS. I'd like to thank you for your time and thank you for your interest, and looking forward to seeing you in our coming webinar session. Thank you and have a nice day.